again. Going to switch things up this time. You've all probably heard that nutrition is just as important as your workouts or your exercise routine. And so I'd like to spend a little time today and maybe get you to think about food in a little bit different way. So rather than talking about good foods versus bad foods, because we hear that, carbs are bad. And if you want to lose weight or you want to get fit, you need to eliminate carbs. And then there are other folks that might tell you that, fat is the enemy and you don't want to eat a lot of fat. You need to eliminate that from your routine or your diet to get the benefits that you're looking for. And our body actually needs carbohydrates, fat, and protein to function the way that it's supposed to. So again, just want to talk a little bit about, rather than thinking about good foods and bad foods, we want to talk about food and thinking of it in terms of choices. And so if you think about food in terms of on a continuum rather than good versus bad, and you have on this end of the continuum maybe your first choice, and on this end you may have a better choice. So for example, let's just think about a potato. So there are different ways to prepare potatoes. And on this end of the spectrum, let's say today you decide, you like some French fries. Also, French fries, I'm not going to say that those are bad again, but in terms of choices, as long as you're not doing that, every meal and eating those a lot, there's not really a problem with that. What I like you to think about is making good choices, say 80% of the time, and we're all human. We're not training, for myself included, any type of bodybuilding contests or anything, fitness, physique competition. But if you are, there are specifics that you'll need to follow or adhere to for that type of an event as well. And that's going to be a lot stricter. But just in terms of something that's sustainable and that you can maintain over the course of your lifetime, again, I'd like to start transitioning into thinking about food choices. So back to that potato again, if you have your French fries on this end, you can fry those in oil, and usually if you go out for fast food, that's what's going to happen. But there are air fryers today. You can prepare French fries in the oven. So maybe that moves you up a little further on this end of the continuum. But again, we're still talking a potato. So rather than air frying even, maybe you want a baked potato. So a baked potato might be a better choice in terms of your goals instead of the French fries. Now, if we start again with the baked potato, you could actually move that in this direction on the spectrum. If now you start to add things like, now I'm going to add some cheese, and I want some bacon, and I want some sour cream, and you start adding all of these other toppings on there. So again, if you start to think about it in terms of a continuum, it'll help you to maybe think again a little bit about choices or options that you have. So maybe you do want a baked potato. Okay, maybe you do, typically right now, you pile on your baked potato all of the things that I mentioned, the sour cream, the butter, the bacon bits, and cheese as well. So if you want to make an improvement in terms of, if your goal is weight loss, so this time, let's say we'll have that baked potato, but instead of having all of those toppings, we'll take a few off. And so just small changes like that over time will help you to reach your goal. And it won't be as hard to sustain, because once you get used to it, believe it or not, your body will respond better once you eliminate the things that maybe doesn't support what you're trying to do. And in terms of your performance when you're exercising, it'll help that along as well. Another example might be, if we go to the other extreme, I have a sweet tooth. So if you like ice cream, I like ice cream. So again, let's just put that in on the continuum. But if you start to add things like hot fudge, whipped cream, and nuts, it just moves those things. If you're here on this end of the spectrum, just starting with your ice cream, it moves it down in terms of what's going to support your goals. So again, if you're used to having sundaes with a hot fudge and all of these other toppings, one option would be to, again, as you progress, we're not talking about big changes here, but let's do without the hot fudge, or let's do without the nuts. And that'll just move you further along the continuum to where you're on this end of the spectrum where you've got your better choices. So again, try to move away from thinking of things as being good or bad. Again, we do need carbs, we do need fat. Our bodies need those things to function properly, as well as protein that you normally think of. And I'm not going to ask folks or recommend that folks just jump right into being extreme. If you eat these things right now and just stop cold turkey, all of a sudden start trying to eat nothing but salads and whole grains, which are perfectly good for you, you're not going to be able to sustain that. So over time, what we want to do is make small improvements. If you drink sodas, you can switch from sodas again on this end of the spectrum. Maybe you now switch to some juice. Juice also has, depending on the type that you have, though, it could have high content. So rather than juice drinks, if you look at the nutrition labels, if you have something that is not 100% juice, you'll notice that it has sugar and other things added in. So if you go from, again, the soda to maybe a juice beverage or fruit beverage to 100% juice, that's another nutritional choice that will help you in terms of moving toward getting closer to your goals. Last thing, again, we're talking about, I just mentioned the soft drinks just in terms of sugar. You want to watch and read labels for sugar. One of the things that people think is that, if I buy something that's low fat, then I'm, doing a better job, I'm making a better choice in terms of trying to lose the weight that I'm trying to get to. And so if you think about it though, if you look at the label, you notice that a lot of foods that are labeled low fat or reduced fat, what the manufacturers do or the food processors do on a lot of those things is they add sugar to make it taste better. And so you do want to also keep in mind that you want to maintain a reasonable amount of sugar in your diet and not go too far overboard on that as well. So rather than going lower fat, again, think about some of the other choices we talked about that'll help you to get to where you're trying to go. So just because something's labeled reduced fat or low fat doesn't necessarily mean that it's a whole lot better than your traditional choices for that particular food item. The next time I'll talk to you about some specifics in terms of some things that you can try to incorporate into your diet to help you make some progress in terms of, again, a healthier and sustainable lifestyle that'll support your fitness journey, and something, again, that hopefully will be able to help you long-term sustain your gains. So with that, we'll call it a day for this one and come back real soon, again, with some more information or some tips on things that you can do for nutrition in terms of, again, specifics, as well as maybe some tips for when you're eating out. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time.